Uh, El Jai Kadosh, Papa, El Jai Kadosh Kadosh, Elokeinu, Elokeinu. I'm sorry, Papa, I'm sorry. Melechim, Sarim, Ha'Jai. Beautiful processes. You want me to share a moment once realities are exactly on the view. I'm gonna send the rest of the people complete and the rest of the situations as much we do in them already. I'm sorry, having some talks still from the whole of the damages and the whole of the conditions over as much my body is hurt as well and aching. Not only which it means my person, but refers as much a real physical damage around over these problems. I'm so sorry. You know, it's exactly clear the situations and you are aware now. And you're with this clear fact of all already found and already exposure from what this is. Okay, just one moment between and one moment about where we continue to making what this deservedly is exactly to love you so more and so very much further. I love you, Papa, ever. I love you so much and I'm sorry. You wanted to tell you and I'm gonna send you what is it about. I really am what is referring to breathless, to so much and so long, to so loud and so silent, so which like deep down and like above at the saving strengths, you know, energetically and trying to immerse my best vigority every day for my blood on the way to breathe and pushing out. I can really do my job and I can really reach my best. I'm not sure that this last, which all as everything, to be greater than the simplest as we've complexly already been through and done so greatly as best. Anyway, it's just what it is, and it's just as much we continue, and we will continue. Okay, I'm so sorry, and it's just like a very yelling from so down dark, so like willless, and so like breathless, and so like bound. I don't know. Like if the screaming as much as strengthening will have the voice to reach. And like the reality of this scream to not be for hearing and neither something that can really have as much as breathing out for the be heard, as much aches so deep, so long, so as if never been around, and as if will be always wanting to say but never to really found a voice to be heard. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. work it out and I'm gonna do my job. I'm gonna do what I have to. But implore you, be strong now. And beg you, please, do what I always supplicated you to do. Implore you, please. But I will be around you every day. And so I will make my best. I will be doing what I can do. And I promise you I will. And I'm sorry. Okay, just a moment to share. Elokeinu, Eloheinu, Malkeinu will be doing what he had really meant, and what he'd swear he will. And we know that will be so. I love you so much. And I promise you I'll do what's my part for. Okay, just a little bit to share, and I'm sorry for. My situation and my stomach is terrible still, and I'm not sure if this is going to be my guide still to deliver me to the whole of the junk food and whatever the fat, whatever the sugar, and where guiding me all over what as ever I can, having the best taste to eat around, but nothing to hear about this yet. Sorry. And suddenly I have a very metabolism that makes a little refluge sometimes for the same reason as the whole, you know. But my tummy is telling yummy yummy one more, so I have a problem. I'm sorry. It's a virus condition, even though I'm moderating it some around. But it's very disciplineless, and that I am going through the tough way to whatever carbohydrates and whatever fat and whatever chocolates and sweets, and the whole of the Burger Kings and McDonald's is something that unavoidable, and I just go for around. I'm sorry. Okay. Also some fries, you know, and you saw me, and then also I just say no, except for trying to moderate a little bit, but the fat is around, so it's impossible to having some normal diet. So I'm sorry, it's just the tummy, but tummy now to saying, oh my god. All right, I'm sorry. Let's have some little share about this. So since as much this day, still even as not feeling so fine, though as the whole around and coming a little bit like winging down, and just not having strength like for having the best flight, but I'm gonna do the best that I can. Okay, just a bit. Well, keeps on happening the same around here, and still. Just for the day seems like, but I'm not sure. Like I told you, I really am having the insecureness moment. I'm still like I'm finished, but I'm not sure that I did. Like always is something, and always is more damage and more damage to carry. And ain't really nice to me. In no matter, in no way. And keeps on making the same the sick sluts, sorry the word, of Armed Forces Argentina, with sluts evangelicals, I'm sorry my terms. Which I will imitate them, and I will rub them my voice, and who I am, and what I do, because every time of me continues. We're all involved the way I told you, except the people that we put apart, which are going to go in a moment. The rest. Alright, 5 horse of Armed Forces, 20 horse of Kirchner's and Argentinian business, which it will be me. And the power of Argentina, me, and the whole of the shit of Sodoma, them experts and special forces and armed forces, security, world government and science specialized for. I will ever have to just bear it and let them me around, and I will ever have to go because of still waits for I blow chop them up all over Palermo and nearing for militaries, because if I have to be delivered for they have the conquer of the heaven. And that will have to happen. And the sluts, armed forces, will be me, Elieh, Elishel, anyone could be an Elishel, about the phallus erect and the blowjob evangelicals will ever provide. Victims apart. I'm sorry. Okay. And still tribunales and forensics, the liars that I the liar, and they will ever have business ever and now because of they has ever be shifting in for the best ever provision for. They conquer the toxic emission of the intestines of forensics that they will conquer the whole of the world and having the whole of the doubt of the illustrious and the glorious and prestigious and the crowns and everything and also heaven. And Kirchner proposes that Christinga and Evangelinga, they too can really having the government soul and killing enough, so they shows that they are worthy, and we will deserve it, what they do to us, especially me. All right, me the supposed beast, Elieh, sorry, with the supposed stolen steel, which will be of Diego Nicola Gomez, Ejército Argentino, Felipe Argentino, of Guillermo de Sobrina and Kirchner, and also CIDE Argentina, my DNI ID of Buenos Aires, because of also will be of 2006 more Argentinian galaxies that they will ever have, and I will wrap them around in the persecution of a stellar way for against Kirchner's that I will do in leadership with my fellows and the whole of the reality that I will slid out and I will threat them out because of they couldn't research enough for they to show that it's true, because of we will treat that situation over Tellerchap that I will be the first, over twisting everything and hiding everything and killing people, which is what they do. Okay, and the sickness of the syndrome of Bomberg. Sociopaths of the whole of the abominations that they need to switch out for they to be succeeding. But it's not a mental disease which diminishes, which a poor one to treat, are exactly the opposite and are exactly to be executed ever after capital sentence, and so they will have. Shut up. All right, and evangelicals are the same. Everyone, victims of that. All right, let's make this. Well, Gibson profaning me with witchcrafting out and more altars that I'm sending for criminology, like to the rest, and baby kiddos sacrificed and killed over altars because of I will be the pedophilic Michael Jackson, the pedophilic supposed George Michael, the pedophilic supposed Robin Williams, the pedophilic supposed Whitney Houston, the pedophilic supposed Your Honors of International Criminal Court of Liaison Office, the pedophilic supposed All Justice Barrett, the pedophilic supposed Your Highnesses of El Jai Kadosh, and the pedophilics supposed Sears of El Jai Kadosh, and the pedophilics all the degeneration abomination of the supposed whore of the century, which will be the whole people that have embraced and delivered for the arms of El Jai to healing out and to giving the best ever for life, to having us rights to live, and the whole that El Jai wants they to have and be as they exist as for, and also the reality of I will be the head with a flag of Israel in one hand and US in the other, with the open leaks in every brass and some panties around the best ever sexy, enormous voluptuous for the whole to watch from under to get inside, the best for the whole boners to be around, like evangelical still makes publishment around, which I'm sending you with evidence as well, which is exactly true. And I will make this all also in the background and instigating them and making the life for they to be the incriminated poor ones that I will do myself, and also to rob them the whole I am, the whole I do, the whole I exist, and the tool that also makes galaxies. I'm sorry, my terms. And tribunales, of course, experts in Policía Federal Argentina research and also see that, and we know what they don't lie. Let's make that shit. And I suppose nothing happened, and it's just a schizoid, a delusional character of a bipolar which also consumes drugs and has disorders for substance consuming. And it's ketapina and ketaponga, sorry the terms. And because of ketapina, it's nothing to do with that, because of it's a new season 4, but the reality is a very placebo that works the word is in the abstinence and the reflection for needs to consuming. Never happened, because they are the ones that knows and they knows what is it and what's not. All right, sorry for this. Let's. Die alone if I am bam bam bam. Sorry, bam bam bam. Exactly. I'm sorry for this. Sein Eile MELECHIM Zemhaik Zevoet Hashel Hai Ayat Elo Yevot Yevot. Okay, what do you say? I don't know the sing. I can't. And Mr. Sing that I always do, but is forged. I have the whole tools, and also you send me about the particle in my devices that I also denounce myself and I buried myself because of I put a device inside that makes the forgery possible for they to show that it's me the whole I do, and they know all the time, and they knew it all the time, and they has proven out. But this is the concluded for that I proceed with you, and with all in 2 worlds that they take and complete. And I tell here, because if I said that they needs to treat a very non-trivial affairs, which is serious, this government, and to be Argentina, always, you know? But I cannot have the capacity because of the shut it all. And it's them who does, not me. For the whole, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh my. Now I'm going to have to clean my floor and also the deck. Okay, sorry. Goy for itself. Goy. No, goed, myself. Zai fort kani halaya. Sorry, let's make it for real. Zash me of Ailats Zalochai Amafet Selayat Siefo Halach Mechanim Laye Zevechai Amevlo. Right? Zanmevayat Kayotash like Hematkish Nelovo Echayat Kanele Slavo Sorry, not English. over and I have still a principle of laryngitis for what still I've been suffering here. I'm sorry. You coming again? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I really am affected. I'm sorry. Anyway, my God. All right. Mess. I'm so sorry. Okay. I get nervous and I get dumpy and I make mess. Between the shy, between the nervous, and between the I have the attention. I'm the star. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I'm so sorry. Yeah, but I get really a little neurotic and a little nervous and oh my goodness, dumb. Okay, sorry. That happens to me. I have a little shy, but fuck that, whatever. You know, I've done a lot of disasters in between what I've been trying to do recent, and they were really disasters. I have my voice a little bit like in overseas, as if there would be some inflammation. It's exactly what I'm telling you. It's the little principle between laryngitis. You know what they've been doing already, sent you the evidence as you saw it all. Is the focus 24 hours of the day, what it's telling about my person. And we know so. Okay, I'm so sorry. All right, just a little bit. Oh my Lord, hath him at however. Therefore I am Blanco, self hope heart and the Lord, son my ear, das euch hanlek sammant as shalom. Miloeth imankel hearts so humbly. Na pochat kiev im servoet schon mir, als der Mann weg am schneller Zeit, Mother kann man schneller Mein Kerl, you see and soft, I know. Sach among Kerl shell. Galabot Nafsh Amalon, Baba for Helen Kerl, Mother not free. I'll snap and love, Snell, Before Art Hachame some of see my what I I'm so sorry. This diablo degenerados contiene su names and what they want to be. So I'm gonna do whatever I want with them. And it's exactly what it's gonna happen. And what I want with them is to put them in pieces the way they've done to everyone as they touch. And what they've been doing to me, they'll suffer forever after that. So I'm gonna do. Alright, sorry for this. With me. But first. Me vayed layid a yishkel voy mad layid kebot. Sorry, okay? Sel tayed hayay neyam moy vayid layid kiyer loy layishevot nelot kemal. My vayed layich neyinayed alakim meyavot nelaymiat nelayam meyam foyachai elayat heshomot nelayad layem avech yemay layet oivich inshlayim mevaynoy. Just a little bit. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're baritonists. I'm sorry in a way. Terrible. You wanted I to make some off of the usual. I were not concentrated in what I was doing. I'm sorry. You have to focus with the Ivan, Rick Ivan. You're gonna check what this Diablos Infernos still does to me. Armed forces complete, with evangelicals complete, and with the whole of the Sikh Argentina always complete, and tribunales with them. Each. The supposed experts and forensics sensitivites for the sense of paranormal security and defense Argentina. Every demon, every abominable freak. You got it all clear. All right. I'm sorry. Giving you a little bit more, like the way you ask me. Anyway, I really am affected, and I have the voice suppressed, as once a very bacteriological charge is around, or inflammations, even though sinusitis causes that, and I am at the day permanently lately with every excretions from my nose, from my throat. I'm sorry for this. From them, everything that you know, and the rest I'm sending you. Naturally between the whole of mystery and the rest. I'm sorry. Restlai am veit.
Melech im Shavai. Elot seyat veyat loit, imiat la imena yedniavech ishlova. Ma'yavana yednech hayam melavoyish ishlagitiyat revai eloit zevet imelayenne yadesheloat evaik elaiki enayemot enayemot is levat helfoyach helkai maya vais helfoy. Neslayinak loelayat helvaim is laikais mevayoy nilei. Ay nagim mevayik halakayam ayanalay ayvayat im solo ayvayat emayalaboyat elchayat eslay mevayanalay mayva. Ay mevasnalach hamepaynoich Leod Sorry, we continue in a moment. I have my voice suppressed and I don't have immunosuppressors, except if they would be putting me. I don't have deficiencies immunologically unless AIDS. Never had it, I'm immune. And also for the reference of this, they need that all, and they continue on the way for the trying to infect me for whatever this is that matches about they say Sandman, Mel Viper in these terms. And the whole of the match of the shit that they need to do for killing it out for one, whatever this is about, we know we exist and it's the worth thing, like always done. So they does the whole shit they does, and they learn that I will wrap the whole existence with mind control, the way they does and the way they tell our chaps, but they doesn't show nothing but the libraries. They emulate that it will be them, and they says still that the prophecy toward the person makes is for Israel. The real which El Jai would come for, God Almighty Holy God. The real God. Expressly for the person that I am with the clear fact of my range of voice. Will be the whole voices together because of I, Elieh, the real person that called the witness of the Bible. With my prayer which is awaiting for me since years ago, Moshe, the Moses of Egypt. Delivered for the understanding also my genetics, and they've been commercializing still my genetics. And the reality of my person and the whole I exist in my virtue, but the blowjob of a bunch of sluts with titles of Christianism, the supposed official for the supposed God's authorities and realities of supposed holiness and ministries. Will be exactly the offense that I will say, and will be exactly the rights to doing. To my person and everybody, because of I will be a spirit, that they will blow chopping and with a very crowd, sorry the word, come around Sodoma, Argentina, the uniform classy type of it, the chiefs and the rest, will ever be exactly the class of elemental worthy that they will make it be. Profaning me every day is witchcraft day and night, and organizing and training and still teaching schools over emerge handle up to making the destructions that they does to me in witchcraft every day, and sensitivizing as much as they can do with the profanations of the treasons from the first to the last, which it refers that it will be my person that they will have as powers for the Argentina and business, because of this business that I will be of them. And the whole that I exist, they will have me first and I myself. So, evangelicos, te vas al horno, perras. Sorry, matrons, and sorry, victims. Y ustedes, diablos de cuarta. Masturbate un poco más con una colita de cuadril y con una foto mía y un video, y fíjate si me someto, y te la lavo y te las lamo, y aún te digo dame más. Y fíjate si me dominas. Técnica de degenerados ciencias abominables. Seguí tranquilo, que yo también sigo. Como te dije, como te voy a seguir diciendo. Dale tranquilo que vos sos boludo y yo soy boludo. Dale tranquilo que vos sos piola y yo soy piola. Dale tranquilo que no tenés idea de nada, yo tampoco. Dale tranquilo que lo sabes todo y yo también. Hacete piola. Sorry, my friends. Okay, just a little bit more. You want just a little bit of with me. Forgive me for this, please. I'm sorry. Y para vos, Angélica, igual. Dale tranquilo que no tengo la capacidad, que soy un lastre de toda tu maldita prostitutada existencia para ver cuánto conseguís y cuántos matás todavía, incluso gubernativamente, para ver qué posición conseguís y para ver qué gloria jugás, delirando de que Dios te va a decir que sí y que Dios te va a aceptar. Sorry for this. Okay. You won. Remember. Coming again. Buenos Aires, Whitney Houston, once she went around here, trying to keep in one shape around what she'd done. But at the level of the original partiture for the singing line, which is soprano. Remember when we're held on. That's sorry. In the rain. lost it. Oh boy, my love, my love, my love. Can you hear me once again? I'm sorry. Boy, we can take the night into tomorrow, and we'll leave on late. Touching you, I can feel it all again. Did we almost have it all? Well, love was all we had worth giving. The ride with you was worth the fall, my friend. Loving you makes life worth living. Did we almost have it all? The nights we had until the morning. You know you never loved that way again. I'm sorry, the currencies. Did we almost have it? Have it I'm sorry, and all at once. Actually, it's not this one, the one you wanted. I'm so sorry. Thank you. I feel story moment. It's all that we've shared. You got your family, and they need you there. No, I try to resist being last on your list. Sorry. But no other names connected. For I'm saving all my love for you. For you. For you. For you. Enemies. I had a peculiar day minutes ago. I were like in a moment of non-will around. I said to Papa in Spanish, desganado. Like bounded is just an expression, is willless, like not wanting to do no further than just coming down like a little depressed. I really am affected of all. I really am hearing,
and the damages and the tortures on my life never ended, even counting today as well. So whatever I try, I'm trying my best, but I really am affected physically the way you know, and coming can. I have been dealing in my life with death permanently by Ejército Argentino, Armada Argentina, Fuerzas Armadas Argentina, Kirchners, and the whole nation, which they are the head of, all over existence, because of Argentina has put it, the members for that to be accomplished. Because of it's the promise of Sodoma Lucifer, and the name says so. And so it behaved from first to last, and we had to be clearing from the destruction all over the world until coming to the right epicenter of the thing, Argentina. And so they had me like the motive and like the trophy, and they continue to make the same. So naturally, I had always like a very hole sunk in the hole of the destructions and deal with death. And so I have been threatened, naturally blackmailed, like all of us we know, and making the same sickness over that they knows how to make me because of them ancestors and Luciano Troviano, the master told them how to. Now, the realities of this introduces the character of I have been hidden naturally because of this is a war. They must like Nazis done until they take positions, but there is a very scores that they are gonna non-fall again. So they needs to be shorting out until everybody's submitted, so they shows, I am here, and it's me. Like a demon, but the reality which they are. But the reality here is exactly the way you know, I've been permanently suffering these conditions, and I'm a king. I'm resented, my body is resented for damages and the medical kidnaps with the neurological damage, with the each sick damn whore of evangelicals instigating whatever boners in the range class and in Argentina for they to make up the whole of the organizing for each business to have one tribunales on the referring for best ever to have at the hand for the business is done. So they make up the whole of the organization. They know with experts what must be done about the holes to found which nobody can describe if happened or not happened, and any else will match because of they are the captain region and they are the government. And they place which everything will be exactly what they says and defies the whole of the probabilities about they are a menace which kills anybody until they submit enough and they take position, and not only takes position and dominance, but as well, whatever they says, they are glorified and deservedly for possessing having a being. At the delusional of the character of a demon, which Legion everyone is. Take them apart. Now, the reality of this is exactly, I have been dealing with the cliche first ever match will be God doesn't want the gaze, the facts. And being a fact will be cannot be nothing of God. You know, those were the mentors since 1973. So the reality of this disgrace, what exactly I will ever be a fact and making the chat. But the thing is, I have been permanently over that I had blow chop them for they be glorious and power because of her be them and not me. And this is not something that, including that the match of I will be the perverse and the sick one, which I will illusory having the authorities conflict with I will ever want the boner, but I will be a pedophilic and I will be a zoophilic and I will be a chunky and the whole of the atlas of the whole of the really abominable freak shit of whatever person might be around at the reference of what they defies the reality itself, but they says they can make it be and exist like, and also perceiving about the healing and destroying whatever ruiny state of any human as they produce and does, it will be all found in me, and that will be being the beast. And also a fact, because of, I will like the woman's because of the Bible doesn't says nothing of woman's, but they doesn't understand that it's a little born and a tiny mouth birth for an abomination. From the masteries of genetics, groping and corrupting, a clonage of a mummy with diamond snake, mamba negra snake, Vadano lizard, the dragon of Komodo called in Australia, the one that excretes the saliva with a lot of poison and with a bite simply, and it's carrying most of any other with a bite simply, you can die. Not only for what it is, the usual as botula,
but the reference of a lot of other presences with a toxin in saliva. So at the reference of this also with dingo, Australian dingo duck, with genitals of duck that they said that I had and they will ever have to discover to show the world. And I also, my supposed characteristic of reality, which it will be to having the little horn, and evangelicals themselves. So it cannot be serious. At the reference of, even though as much, if I will ever deal with such a condition, it's about the high and me, because if I never needed that, and I don't need it. I live fine without this lust of shit, which is exactly what they are. Lust of abominables, laughter of hell, because of this what they are going to be forever. At the reference of the reality as much which it means the person I am. I have been dealing with death my entire life, and they said it in clear that if there wouldn't exist the reality that they will appreciate what's happening over, they will play the supreme dominance all over for no one to embarrass them, and they do not be embarrassment in front of them master and in front of the whole of them Mason world over shit that every one of them is. Them clan, them legacy. To be in out clear that they will kill, and they've been genociding up on my backs and making the whole abominations to me and to everybody else. And I don't need to lie or even my day. I have a lot of things to do, and I love to live. But not the shit they does and they are. And they are nothing like me. Thank God. So, the reality of this, at the reference of what this is about, we are filled of a lot of disgusting, distorted, suppressive, manipulated, abductable, alienatable elements for the machineries of them, they to proceed and they to do and they to keep. And the reality is, I have a privacy. We are sharing, but I do not expose my privacy. I have a moment too between cynicisms, between ironies, between the whole of the sickness that we are suffering to laugh a little bit and choke a little bit and sort of cut them, and I'm going to break your cut and horns. But the reality is the simplicity. We are persons, and there is a respect and a place for everything, and even for each person, including me. So the point for this is exactly, I am not putting my privacy at exposed, and I don't need such a thing. And the reference of my reality is with a high, but I never committed no crime. I've suffered less humanity my entire life, including this day. And they've been murdering and genociding up on my backs because of they know the person I am. And the whole that they keep on making with altars and the whole offerings and the whole sacrificials I'm sending like state, APMEC, Argentina, with evangelicals and them parties, over sins, is exactly what they are doing to me with my photo, with a lot of references of my person and names, saying that they are going to become, and they understand, and they, with evangelicals, that I am the person, including my flesh, my genetics. So, the reality of this is makes up in a class of a shit because of they know that they go to hell and they are the shit that we know. And God himself saying to them permanently, go to hell, you piece of a snake. And they know and they hear Satan, cannot be the Lord because of Lord, cannot treat us because of evil power. And the power is not the consequence of the reality, nothing that God will ever take. It's exactly what the person you are. So what the reality of this, I never consume drugs. I don't need it and I won't ever have a plan. Except for what they've been trying to do in the Cotton Medical Kidnap and in a very bona fide in Avenida La Plata and Rivadavia intersection, Buenos Aires. That day that I had to look while there were people about to die because of they needed I to look at chunky like, and they making the right invention for the fucking shit that they need to do. Sorry, my parents. So what the reality of this, including what the rest of all, I don't need to get drunk. I am not a drunk. I don't need alcohol. I am not an alcoholic except once I make Bizzar for the respect of the tradition. And it's one cold and I get slept. Or two, and I go sleep. So at the reality of this, I'm sorry my terms, and I am angry with this, and I want to kill them at last. I want them to go to hell forever because of their conscience and they knows what they do and who they are. And they knows who I am and what I do. And so, at the reference of this, I never smoked neither. I get choked, I get angry once this person that lives inside this address with me starts smoking, chokes me, makes me bad, I don't tolerate it. In an open space, I can making some tolerating, maybe in a very social moment that I can go around people's smokes, but I don't need that, and I just can tolerate a little bit, but I don't live on it. I don't need such a thing. And it doesn't help me at my health. And I need to have a life that these diablos enfermos are permanently conditioning and making tights for I do not reach and I cannot do. And whatever I do is, we are doing first, we are going for, he's imitating us. All the girls of the armed forces, they go to Israel kingdom, and they are gonna be because of evangelical said, and Luciano Troviano, and the Justice of Argentina gave it orders. Who's him? Has the whole right condition of its identities because of what has given them. Who are Jewish? Who is God? I'm sorry, but the sickness of all abominables and freaks like any other. Recognizing I am the person I am, the virtue I am, and making, I have its cut away and cutting spiritually, and I have its balls and cutting, and oh, he's a freak, hermafrodite, andala, que te recontra parió. Sorry for my girls. The reality says is exactly a bunch of freaks of hell and abominables until the grave and after dust, and they are not gonna come no more. But the reality is, well, I am tired, and I needed to die, and I need this to be over. And it's exactly my anger, and it's exactly my tiredness, and I came on the day like every day, and I don't end ever. And this is already finished. So I beg you all as witness to minutes of LSV, you don't have to accept or hear nothing else. The thing is clear now. Not anymore. I am not angry with you and with nobody there, neither with the guy. But this is over. And I need they to go to hell. And I need to find out myself and Elieh to choose himself about me. No una perra angelista y un degenerado considered to be charged about the whole of the reality of my existence, especially a delusional sick freak intoxicated of the whole cam that Sodoma could provide them with a title of forensic. Presuming that they can be the judge of my judge. It is not. So the reality is exactly what we said, no more. Are we understanding? So please, thank you. I'm sorry for this. I don't need the shit. I am suffering every day. It's the same sickness, and they are trying to become me. I am not and never been. I'm suffering, and the whole reality is they needed I to be a fag. I've never been a fag. I won't be a fag, and neither a witch, and nothing like a demon. Understood, everybody? Sorry, the people that doesn't has nothing to do, you know what I'm talking for, and who am I saying this to? Bernard. Understood, everyone, please, thank you. Right. Okay, and the end with this is not gonna end until later day, and I can just release myself from such a disgrace of hell. I'm so sorry. Okay, just a little bit, the way you want, and we closure this day, forgive me please, and everybody saying that you needed this. Yes, I'm acting. I'm sorry, I'm so stellar. Stellar like the craft I'm gonna put in them fats and sending them to the hole of the hell directly with the cutting thing that they are doing right in the hell. Altogether, sorry. All right. Forgetting my terms as rude as whatever. You already know, but I'm sorry, Your Majesties, I'm sorry, Your Highnesses. Your Honors, I'm sorry, people, states, bodies, justified, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, people. All right, just that. All I once I finally took a moment, and I'm realizing that you're not coming back. Voy a moment all at once. Some shots not sure, they don't care how much so no, it's not a never end. Some I know that all at once. Love and such my quit. I have some odds that shall oh no, it's not good I'm sorry. And a mess anyway, you know the rest. Forgive it, please. Putting this away to you, you got it already. You're telling me, and my supposed solution on it is just a universal, unique existence one. Communication. I'm so futile, and I'm so whack, and I'm so continuous. I'm sorry. Okay, today is Monday, the 6th, 2019, and this is 15:23. I'm late. I'm still dealing. I'm sorry. You know, this then doesn't learn until the guys goes to hell, and even though they continue declaring that the boner is going to provide them the chance to have, they're going to have it all supposedly because of their second supposed creation. Sorry for my terms again, beeping right there. You know what to do, and the realities of May month. My God, I'm sorry. Perdón, I'm sorry, Your Majesties.